Hi, welcome to my next video. And this video I'm just gonna share and talk about this term called emergency funds. So what is exactly an emergency fund, the how, and possibly also the where. So the things I'm going to talk about straight from the top is what is an emergency fund. Now, why is it important to you and me? And with this emergency fund that you want to say collate, how much is actually enough? And what are the different places you can put? And what's my current emergency fund level like? And this is just something I want to share. And if you find this video helpful, just do like, share, and subscribe. So in my opinion, I've not really googled anything. There's no definition that I pluck out somewhere or copy and paste. It's something that I've learned through the internet itself, and after reading and also doing it myself, it is my own definition. Okay, this is in simple terms. On your own personal terms, it's a separate fund. First of all, it's a separate fund by itself. That means it's separate from your day-to-day spending, where you need to spend on your food, your transport, etc., etc. So it's a fund set aside, and it's something that you will build. So it's not something where you put in and then subsequently you just take out, say for fun or for holidays or for, like I said, for food or transport. Okay, and how much of it? Usually it can be equate or defined as a number of months based on your monthly expense. Okay, and lastly, this should be relatively easy to access, but not so easy in terms of like it's just within an ATM card withdrawal. So it's somewhat easy to access such that you do not like sort of wait for months just to wait for it, but yet to a certain extent it's easy to access. Now, why is it important? Just now I mentioned about easy to access. These few terms or few reasons does explain it. Now, for number one, it's actually quite straightforward. It's called emergency fund, right? So it actually gives you a sense of security. In case of a rainy day or in case of emergency, you do know that you have say a few thousands or a few number of months of your monthly expenses being set aside, so that you know you are more or less covered if in case a certain expense is being occurred. Certain rainy day incidents can be example of a medical expense. It can be suddenly you've been retrenched, or out of nowhere something in your house is being broken and you need to spend money on repairs. Okay, but lastly and more importantly, it is actually a good foundation. It's a good foundation for you to build, whereby once this is set in stone, you can thereafter move towards more things. And usually the more things we refer to is investments. So then how much is actually needed, or it's considered safe enough? First things first, it depends. When it depends on your comfort level to a certain extent, possibly your amount that you spend per month, because just now I referred to as the number of monthly expenses, and to a certain extent your own comfort level. Now, as a gauge, usually most people will talk about 3 to 6 months worth of monthly expense. You can slowly build towards the 3 months threshold first, and once you hit it there, you can then thereafter look forward for the next 6 months. This is how I actually did it first. In fact, I actually worked towards building up my 1 month worth of monthly emergency fund first, and then thereafter 3 months, and then so on and so forth. Now, of course, I mentioned based on monthly expenses. Well, some others, they actually would prefer to base on monthly salary figure. So, example, if your monthly salary is say $5,000 and you would like to have an emergency fund of 3 months, then perhaps you would need to aim to build the emergency fund of $15,000. But if say with a monthly of $5,000 and your monthly expenses is just $3,000, then with 3 months you actually need to only build 9,000. So again, this depends on a certain comfort level based on the person's risk level, and they may just choose to see which guideline or which threshold they may want to refer. Now, what are then the different places to put? Some places are easy to access. For example, the first point, just putting it in the bank by itself. However, usually most of the time you can actually just withdraw pretty easily, because whether is it by means of online transfer or ATM withdrawal, it is pretty much very convenient and easy. Now, in regards to the next point, it is not as easy, whereby you put it in a fixed deposit. However, once usually when you put in a fixed deposit, you need to hold it for a certain amount of time depending on what the banks allow, which is usually 6 months to a year. Now, next tool is actually this thing called T-bills, and this thing called Singapore Savings Bond. Now, on one hand, they are pretty liquid, but on the other hand, they are also higher interest savings account as compared to the bank. Perhaps I can actually do up another video just to compare the different avenues over here in terms of which is actually more comfortable, more accessible, higher interest rate, Okay, but for T-bills, it's quite similar to fixed deposit, whereby it's usually 6 months or 1 year. Whereas for Singapore Savings Bond, you actually can hold it up to 10 years. However, in the case of withdrawal, you can actually retrieve it within a month. So in that sense, the easy access is actually only up to a month. Okay, next things is actually robo-advisors. These days there are a lot of robo-advisors around. There's actually Moomoo, Tiger, just for examples. And you can actually put there where you can earn slightly higher interest rates, and the withdrawal time frame is actually within days. So actually, where's mine? I do have a stash of emergency fund. I put it in 2 different robo-advisors. One of it is called Syfe, and another one is called StashAway. So for Syfe, I've accumulated about $15,500, and for StashAway, it's about $10,500. Just now I mentioned about Singapore Savings Bonds. This is actually one of the first steps that I actually did in order to build my emergency funds. I actually went to research on these Singapore Savings Bonds, and I realized that it is something that is very viable for me. And subsequently, basically at this point of time, I have about $7,500. So in total, once I add up, this is about $33,500. And what does this equate? It is actually approximately about 6 months of my fixed monthly expenses, which if you calculate back in terms of per month, it's actually about $5,000. I have a family of 4, so wife to feed, 2 kids, so the amount that I need to spend, plus minus, is usually about that much. Okay, and this is the end of the video about what is emergency fund. If there's anything that I have not mentioned about, or you would like to have any questions, do drop in the comment below. If not, please do like and share, and you can refer to my previous video over here where I talk about my 100k investments that I've accumulated at the age of 40. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.